Okay, Sam, are you gonna help me out here?
Where's
or
a banjo?
Dude, the banjo needs to be restringed. So
I'm good.
Were you joeing out too hard, man?
Showing out.
Joeing out. Hey, you want to Joe out? Hey, you should ask that girl if you want to Joe out.
Just kick it off, Jake.
Niko asked a girl if she wanted to Joe out.
It sounds awful.
Niko asked a girl if she wanted to Joe out.
It's true.
He was talking about a banjo. He said, hey, baby, if you want to Joe out.
Context is everything.
Context is everything. Context is everything. Context is everything. So if you want to Joe out. So that's the new term for the banjo, everybody. I know you guys didn't hear it. That's because it needs to be restringed. But that's because we were joeing out too hard.
Joeing out too hard.
Joeing out too hard, and the banjo needs to be restringed. So I apologize. I do have a pair of banjo strings somewhere in this room.
Sweet.
And once I locate them, I will put them on that banjo.
That's great to hear, Jake.
Yeah, but anyway, welcome back to the Corridor Cast. I've got the ever creative, ever talented Sam Gorski, ladies and gentlemen.
Give it up for me.
Give it up for Sam, and of course the effervescent, the wise, the Niko Paringer.
The dastardly.
I guess we'll clap for him too.
Clap too, everyone clap. Okay.
And
all right,
the illustrious and regal Jake Watson.
Hey, thanks. Thanks. So guys, wow.
Wow, what a year.
Skywalker deepfake video. Let's just hit on that real quick.
Yeah, it did really well. It was really fun.
Yeah.
It was really cool. And
is that your wise commentary on it, Niko? Like
that's why people listen to the podcast. Was in depth.
It did well.
Insights. Neat. I liked it. It was fun. See you later. You asked me about a movie. I'll tell you about it.
Terminators.
Pretty neat.
Sweet.
Good movie.
Saving Private Ryan.
I'm surprised they didn't call one of the Terminator sequels Terminators.
I know.
Like,
some of that.
Come on.
Oh, wait, hold on. Do you want my insight into Saving Private Ryan?
Yes, please.
Sad.
No.
Yeah.
If I was going to design a logo for Terminators,
okay.
it would say Terminator 2 at first, but then the 2 would spin around and make an S.
James Cameron pulled that with Aliens. He didn't get to do it twice.
Oh, he did Alien 2, and then he spun it around and made an S?
The story goes, it's a pitch meeting. So Alien's written on the board. They're like, James Cameron walks in. He's like, guys, I got one thing, just one thing to make you greenlight this movie. He walks up to the whiteboard. He draws an S. He throws the marker on the floor and leaves. I'm like, aliens! Oh, multiple aliens! What a genius!
Shit!
And then they greenlit it.
Wow.
So, anyways, Terminator 2 came around. He's like, guys, I got one letter. Make a greenlight this right
He's
away.
like, and he turned the S around and made it a 2.
They're like, it's fine. We'll just stick with Terminator 2 for this.
I love those out of context Hollywood
please.
stories where it's like, hey, yeah, all you got to do, kid, is walk into the pitch room and turn that 2 around to make it an S.
And then
that's
you throw
all you got to do
at the executive,
and then you'll
leave.
get all the money to make Terminators and Aliens all at the same time. when in reality it was probably like, yeah, so they already were kind of agreed on making the movie, and James Cameron had already done Terminator.
It was really friendly.
They were kind of excited about his next thing, and they were just wondering what to call it.
Yeah, let's not ruin the illusion.
And they just had a meeting about that.
Let's not ruin the illusion.
Okay, sorry.
You got to be a big shot a-hole if you want to make it in Hollywood, and you have to be very theatrical with flair, as we have come to learn in our careers.
Yeah, gravitas.
Gravitas.
Yeah.
Yep. That's how they made the movie Gravity.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
All right.
This one's off to a great start.
Yeah.
It is.
No, but hey, seriously,
Okay.
just to talk about that video for a second. I mean, we'd hoped that it would do well. We felt like, Niko, you and I were talking leading up to it. We were talking about how the deepfake was sort of evolving as the weeks went on, you know, and as we were discovering things about it. And that's all, if you watch the video, you can kind of see like that's in there, you know, the first shoot of Dean, the second shoot of Dean, the haircut, you know, the training throughout that entire time, the lighting. But it's always nice and reassuring when you're working on something and you think that people are going to like it, and then you release it, and yes, in fact, people actually like it. That's not, those two things don't always merge. So they did on Sunday, and I'm just really glad and happy for you and all the guys that worked on it.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out too, and I'm glad we got to like kind of double down on it once we saw that it had potential. Also, I saw a comment on the subreddit where like they're mentioning like Mordor has a very long history of challenging wigs.
Yep.
And then somebody else has theorized that Dobie lives in wigs.
We're wig challenged. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Well, good wigs are freaking tough, but they're expensive.
Very little.
You don't just buy a wig that's perfect. It's like you have to get the wig and then like spend time like styling it, and you know it's a whole process. I don't have time for that.
Just to get a wig that's made out of human hair that looks anything decent is like, you know, $600, and then you have to style it.
Yeah, if you're asking which wig was the bad one, every wig, maybe except for the Blackbeard wig for the Assassin's Creed one, but all the other wigs in the Assassin's Creed one were bad.
No, Blackbeard's wig was horrible too.
Okay, so all of them. Back to my original.
Yeah.
All right.
It's all shiny. It's all shiny, and like you can tell it's not real hair.
Okay.
Dude, even looking at Shadow of Mordor, and like the main character's wig and like the prisoner's wigs are just like the same wig, so it doesn't help at all. Like, somebody's like, so I thought the prisoner ran into the woods and came back as that dude. And it's like, oh no, that's exactly what it looks like. This dude runs off in like peasant clothes and, you know, shiny black hair, and he comes back and freaking like
messes him up. He's like, let me go get my sword.
Seriously, you can watch Shadow of Mordor, and it's a very easy takeaway from the story. Like, I bet you a solid 20% of people saw the piece like that. But I think it's that one dude just escapes.
And then he turns around and like, psych, I'm a badass.
Then he just teleport in.
Especially since he's got blue on and the same color hair when he runs off.
Yeah.
You know,
and then the next human we see is a man in blue with the same hair who's just transformed into a badass.
You know, like I was thinking about this morning. It's a kind of a tangent, but I was thinking, you know, like all these kids, school's not reopening for a lot of people still, and like I was even listening. They're like, oh yeah, we're focused. Like the president's like got a plan to get people like 8th grade and under in, but like the 9th through 12th graders are kind of like a non-priority right now for some reason, because maybe they're like more social or something. But I'm like, oh my God, like these high school kids. So I was thinking like, man, geez, maybe I should just take some time off this summer or like in the fall and just do like an impromptu, like free film course for people who are like not in school or something like that. And I was like, okay, how would I structure that? What's the first thing I would go like, all right, would I get into camera stuff? Would I do this? I'm like, no. I'd just be like, guys, we're going to learn how to make videos today. Step 1, they have to make sense. That's the first thing you have to learn about filmmaking is just try super hard to have it make sense. Because that's like all it comes down to. And like, I'm thinking about this wig and like all the other moments like this where we filmed videos and we're like, oh yeah. And then we watch it and you're like, oh my God. Like this literally makes no sense. Like what? Like I remember having like nightmares in like college or like even after college, waking up and remembering like short films I made and going, "Oh my God, that made no sense." Everyone watched it and had no idea what was going on, and like I was like super embarrassed, and I'd always like have like these anxiety nightmares of like not
the
like,
ones
just,
where you
oh
wake up and you're late for the test, you skipped school and the test is
like, but it was like kind of real though. Anyways, dude, that's so funny.
Well, it's funny because you're talking about that in your functional filmmaking episode.
Yeah.
You're talking about rule number 1 is, does it make sense?
Yeah. Well, but seriously, it's like if you're
rule number 2 is, does it make sense in the shortest amount of time possible?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some good stuff in the episode for sure, and it's just like, it's like if you're gonna come at someone like, hey, here's a video, like what do you know, talk about camera aperture and shutter speed, and like it's like, yeah, there's a lot of technical stuff here, but like most cameras have an automatic feature, you know, you hit record,
right,
just like, but does that random guy randomly transform into a super being, like on accident? You don't want to miss that.
Yeah, he might. It might be in the lore there. Yeah.
Anyways, tangents are cool. So we have a topic today.
Yeah.
Before we get into it, shameless drop. I've been working on a lot of music for a long time here, for a few years, and I'm finally releasing it. And basically, I'm releasing one single a week on my YouTube channel, and it's on Spotify. It's super cool. So if you like the last album, go listen to it. I'm releasing videos and singles every week for the next 6 or 7 weeks.
Where do they find that, Sam?
It's youtube.com/Sam Gorski. Or Spotify. Just search for my name on Spotify. There's a new song every week.
Anyway, okay, so the topic of today, Niko, weren't we talking about this? Didn't this come up in conversation earlier? Or is this new?
I think this
but
is
anyway,
new.
Here.
This is a...
Well, you
Someone drop it. Drop
Yeah.
the topic.
you probably read the title when you clicked on this video. So the
we
question
would do
is
it differently in 2021.
If we were to start Corridor today, what would we do differently?
All right, so we're all working full-time jobs. Like maybe we're doing VFX for people like we were. Jake.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're probably like shoveling dirt.
I mean, how...
Like we got
are we 22?
we are like, are we our same age as well? No. Okay.
No.
If it was like,
we're in our early 20s.
If it was 2009/2010, except it's now 2021.
Yeah.
And we were a bunch of younglings, and we're like,
Yeah.
you know what? Maybe we should make a YouTube channel.
Bunch of young men out on our own, first time, real world.
We look around and we see the wasteland.
We see a wasteland of YouTube before us.
Is there a green sprout coming from the cracked earth?
Exactly.
And if there is a green sprout, what is that metaphor supposed to mean?
Okay, let me start this off by saying this first. I watched the Veritasium video, is success work or luck, the other day, and obviously his conclusion is the answer is both.
Oh wow!
But
You're telling me if everyone digs for gold, only one or two are gonna find it?
He's in that one of his ideas in the video is that oftentimes people have a tendency to just, obviously you see the world from your perspective. So obviously things that affect you more, you're oftentimes more likely to categorize those things as being more important to the outcome of a situation than
like
not.
Survivor bias or something like that.
Yeah, survivor bias. No, well, that's kind of. That's a little bit more. There's a few more layers to that part, but basically, the idea is luck is also part of success. And I've heard this said as well. Success is 99% work and 1% luck. But either way, however you phrase it and however much luck is actually involved, there is always an element of luck in success. And we found success at a time, obviously we were all super hardworking. Obviously, it was something that we were super passionate about, something that we were putting our blood, sweat, and tears into. So you have to have that. But we also got into YouTube at a time when success was a lot more likely than it is now.
It was definitely a lot more attainable.
Yeah. It was a smaller platform. There were less people on it. There was a lot more elbow room, if you would, with respect to how many minutes of the concept of minutes per or of hours per minute uploaded to the site wasn't even a concept at the time we started.
Yeah.
And now you think about, there's what is it? Hundreds of hours uploaded to the site every minute.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I think I can objectify it. It's a lot easier to find something new to do on the platform because there was less being done. You know, and you look at how YouTube is today, and like if someone looks at YouTube and goes in 2010 versus 2020, if someone looks at YouTube and goes, "Hey, how do I become successful?" There's a hell of a lot more reference in 2020 for how to make a successful channel, but what that doesn't mean is that's how to get successful. You know, like, and that's the kind of like this concept, which I think a lot of people really fall into when you get really envious of something. When you see someone be successful, you go, oh, well, they did this to become successful, so if I do that too, success can come. And like this happens everywhere. You see it everything. Like, oh, some guy made $1 million with a Bitcoin. Many Bitcoins made $1 million. I should get Bitcoins, and then I'll get them. It's like, by the time that success comes around, there's so many people, it's become saturated. That path becomes saturated, and the difficulty to use that same path compounds so many times that it's basically impossible.
This is the hard path that the Burger King must walk every day in the shadow of McDonald's.
In the shadow of Ron McDonald.
Because honestly, when we so in 2020 or 2010, you know, it's like we're like, hey, let's make YouTube videos. How do we do it? Well, hey, we make goofy little videos with our friends. We throw some VFX in there. Like, that's what we've been doing. We're just gonna do that, except we're gonna give it a video game spin. You know, it was really simple, and we did it, and it was like, oh, people like to watch this because, surprise, there's not like people doing it like we were doing.
It's not
it.
live action video game content.
Sure,
at that time.
there was like passion project short films for sure. You know, like that's always been around. Like, hey, I made a Superman fan film. I have Batman fan films. Whatever. You know, they're there. You know, but it was like, all right, well, those were like months, years apart for certain people, and it was like, all right, well, how do we do this in the short term? You know, rapid videos. Okay, cool.
Well, there's there's a strategy that, you know, this always applies. And if you're a filmmaker and you're going to ignore the strategy, you're asking for trouble. But you have to think about how are you going to get people to watch it. You can make the best film in the world, but if you don't have any advertising or a reason or a hook for people to watch it, you're kind of wasting your time. And, you know, that applies to every product ever made, especially filmmaking products.
Filmmaking is no different. Yeah, in that sense, there's a tendency to look at it as art, and obviously it is art, but there's a little bit of art in almost every product. Mm-hmm. And the product, whatever it is, whether it's a video or a hamburger, at the end of the day needs to be appealing to people. Yeah. So that you can actually make a living off of it, so you can continue to do it. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. Also, you're talking about luck and the whole thing. I mean, not to get deep into that, but just want to mention, it's not a thing that happens once. It's not like you do all this build up for one roll of the dice. Like, you literally you roll the dice every day, all the time. Like,
yes. Yeah. And I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to discount that and say, oh, it was one luck factor. Like, the concept of luck is ambiguous to begin with. I think when people
think about situation versus success, you know, obviously they both play into it, but people tend to think of it as a binary one-off kind of thing. Like, you know, for example, oh, you're lucky that you guys found the React format. It's like, yes, we are lucky we found that React format. But we're not getting lucky every weekend when the video hits 1 million views. Like, when a React video comes out this past weekend and it's like, oh, you guys got a lot of views in that. Lucky? It's like, well, no. Like, it's a constant thing, you know? But same thing with opportunity. Like, you might miss an opportunity, but it doesn't mean that other opportunities don't come up. And just likewise, you know, we were in the right spot at the right time in terms of our abilities as filmmakers, and as like kind of the digital video revolution happened. Right. But that's not to say that there's still not constant revolutions happening in filmmaking and in digital video all the time. You know, so if you miss one wave, it's just like surfing. You know, I don't surf, but whatever. It's just like surfing. If you miss one wave, hang out, enjoy the sun. It's a beautiful ocean, and another one's gonna come.
Yeah, wow, yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely true, and analogy. It's hard to say. Metaphor. You know, there's almost like an inherent conclusion that you draw when you say something like, "Oh, well, you know, you were just lucky to be on that beach on that day." to catch that wave. And it's like, yes, that's true, but what about all the other waves that you missed on other beaches that other people rode that you didn't ride? And if you missed that one wave that you did ride, would you have gotten on another one? And would people have just said the same thing about that one?
Yeah. Well,
You know,
okay,
and
look,
there's also an element of that in all this too.
We're having a hypothetical battle with people, invisible hypothetical comments as well. But like,
That's what we do around here.
I think, okay, so what we've established this. All right, hey, we made YouTube videos, but what about now? Like, let's say it's 2021.
So your number one problem is, how do you get noticed? So back in the day in YouTube, it was a lot easier to get noticed. I mean, any platform, you're basically going, "Dear Mr. Google, will you put me on your front page for a little bit and show me to some of your viewers? Dear Mr. TikTok, will you please put me on your front page and show me to some viewers?"
Yeah.
Like every one of these platforms, you're trying to figure out how to let them put you in front of all these millions of people going across the platform.
That's true.
So you're not really earning those views yourself. You're just trying to figure out what keys you got to turn to unlock that door to get shown to the eyeballs on the front page of these platformers.
Big man, Mr. Tubes. You know, like, okay, so yeah, back in 2010, that Frozen Crossing video we released, we got noticed because, well, it got onto like YouTube's front page, which had way less competition.
We also got to Reddit number one.
We got Reddit, some number ones on there, but on YouTube, we like, they had like multiple slots. They had like most popular, most viewed, whatever. Then they had top for each category, and we managed to have like our video at the top of like 3 categories, or maybe 4. I can't remember. A bunch, basically.
Yeah, YouTube.com. There's like 12 thumbnails on there, and 4 of them are ours.
4 of them are the same thumbnail for our video.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you're right though. I think that's actually a really good point, which is, you know, there is the like quality, there is the consistency, is all that stuff, but there is that game still of like trying to get your piece put to the top of like whatever list these sites have, and that's
what I'm saying about the element of luck, and I guess
that is kind of that.
Yeah, you're tailoring, knowing what the intended and hopeful outcome is, but at the same time, like, you know, just being watched and shared by somebody else's account, being watched and shared by X other account, you know, being hashtagged here, retweeted here, like all of those little things are part of that, and that's a result of obviously consistency and quality, but also of an intangible.
Well, and you know, right now it's like, if so 2021 strategies, it's still the same though, except now you're basically facing the quote unquote algorithm, which is like, how do I get this dang algorithm to share my videos for me and put them in front of other people?
Yeah.
And that's really truly what it is. And I'm starting to realize that like a lot of the cool stuff I've seen and just quote unquote discovered over the last year, 2-3 years is stuff that the algorithm pushed to me. And it happened recently. Like a week or 2 ago, I saw a video that got popped up on my feed. It was a weird animation. And I watched it. It's like it's like a joke about like RPG games, but it was done with a really cool style. And I'm watching it like, hey, this is pretty sweet. This is a really cool video. And so I check out the guy's YouTube channel. I start watching his other videos. I'm like, wow, all his videos are great. They all have like 20, 30K views on them. Like, this guy is so massively talented. And then I think I started sharing them with you guys, and the channel was is Joel Haver is the guy's YouTube channel, and he's just like, he's a filmmaker who makes a dumb little video every week, and they're hilarious, and like he's really talented because they balance like great sketch comedy, they're really bite-sized, simple. He puts some interesting like artistic ideas behind them as well that really speak to like a level of creativity that I haven't seen. And so I mean, they're genuinely good, and they're genuinely interesting, funny, and relatively innovative. There's an artful touch to them. But the point is, the freaking algorithm gave it to me. And at the craziest part about this is I send them to you, Jake, and you're like, oh, wow, yeah, he got a lot of subscribers recently. And I look, and when I was watching these videos, I was watching them in the middle of a massive
Yeah.
400,000 subscriber spike his YouTube channel was encountering over the course of less than a month.
Like
And
a
he
week.
he went from like 100,000 subscribers to, I don't even know what he's at right now. Last time I checked, it was like 500 something thousand subscribers.
Yeah.
And it was this rapid explosion where somehow the YouTube algorithm handed a video. It was like, let's give this guy a chance and put one video out there. And it just lit a fire. Suddenly people are flooding to this YouTube channel, and my reaction, I'm sure, was the same as everyone else. They watch it and go like, wow, actually, this is legitimately good. He's legitimately talented. These are really entertaining videos. And the algorithm just took that engagement and just kept pushing to more and more people. And so like, it's just crazy because he's been putting videos out for like 3 years, almost like once a week.
Okay, I have a thought
nuts.
on this.
It's absolutely insane. But
Is that different, or just an incredibly innovative modern way to do the exact same thing that humans have done in the arts industries throughout the 20th century?
I think it's kind of the same thing. I mean, all of it boils down to you make your work, and then if it's been consistently good for long enough, you'll get noticed.
Because everybody knows that time when you discover a new artist, whether it's video or music or what have you, you haven't heard of them before, and then you discover them and you're like, holy shit, this person or these people or whatever are awesome. Mm-hmm. And you blaze through their catalog, and you know, and it's like invigorating and it's inspiring, you know, and then it makes you want to like go out and do more. Like that like discovery, you know, is now happening in part, and in large part, machine assisted.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate because machine assisting is still so wonky. Like, I'm not saying that algorithms are bad, but just like, there isn't a way for you to discover things that aren't in your wheelhouse right now. There's like, the algorithm's not programmed to be like, I'm just going to throw this random thing at this person. Other people like it, but it's definitely not what they're into, but maybe they'll like it. Like, you never get any of that. And so like, but how do you discover something new then? How do you discover a new sound, a new style, a new genre? Because, you know, let's say I invented, all right, guys, you've heard of sci-fi, you've heard of fantasy, but you haven't heard of
medieval fantasy.
Hyper-real. It's a new genre that I've invented.
Sure. But how do you
heard of it before? Like, now you're not on a list. Nothing can recommend you. Like, you know, how do you get out there? But at the same time, you need to do something new to get noticed. And I think that's a really tricky balance.
You got to pull the Joel Haver, man. You got to grind for 3 years.
I mean, the tricky balance is, you know, involved for all that stuff. You can't rely on like a machine. You know what I mean? Like, well, how did you used to do it? Yeah, I mean, there's no cure for that, I guess.
Well, let's return to the prompt for a second here. So if we were starting the YouTube channel now in 2021, I mean, the first thing to do is to identify, what do you actually want to do? Do you want to make videos? Do you want to make music? Or do you just want to be famous? You know, like, what is it that you actually truly want? Are you just looking for an income? Or are you looking to tell a story? And you know what? It's probably not going to be one thing, because all these things are nuanced. You know what? Chances are you probably want to make money and make videos. You probably want to be able to buy your groceries and do your art at the same time. But, you know, there's definitely a balance to that, and you have to identify what you're doing. And the question is YouTube even the right spot for it? You know, really, YouTube isn't even really the right spot for Corridor. Like, we're such an anomaly on this dang video platform. Like, everything else on YouTube is very much like personality driven. It's very like, it's much younger audience, I think, than what we generally are. I think we hit young audiences, but we're much more like broad across all ages.
I mean,
there's a lot of
there's art on the platform.
Yeah, it's just like, it's not like what the platform's dominated with. Just like how like TV has sitcoms, you know, it's like, it's you don't have sitcoms on YouTube. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to have sitcoms on YouTube. But there aren't sitcoms on YouTube, you know? So it's like, if somebody came out with a sitcom on YouTube and it did well and they're getting views, it'd be like, cool, that's really neat. There's a sitcom on YouTube. Not really the platform for it, but what the heck, I'll watch it here. You know, it's like, that's how I feel about the Corridor videos we make to some extent. And I think we found that balance with the Corridor crew, where we found the format of YouTube and like the genre of YouTube and married it with our style. But if you're trying to start a YouTube channel these days, you know, I guess the question is like, if you're trying to start anything these days, you have to kind of first figure out your platform. But then let's say it's YouTube. I guess you'd have to kind of ask like, well, what is it that you're trying to do? Like if you're trying to run a cooking show, maybe YouTube works, but maybe TikTok is better. Maybe Facebook is better. You know, you have to kind of figure out your platform. But the other thing I think is just, what is it that you're doing that's special? What is it that you're doing that's unique? And then how can you leverage that into getting people to notice?
Yeah, but sometimes you have to just trust that you're doing it and can't overthink it too. Because once again, I'm looking at this guy's YouTube channel. I'm watching his videos. It's like, they're funny. I'm watching them. Like, what's unique about them? Well, they're funny. You know, that's what's unique. They're, you know, maybe I could, you know, do a super deep dive critical thinking on this, but it's like, they're just good. They're cool. They're good. It's good. It's like, that's sometimes just the level you need to hit. And that sometimes is the unique element, which is most things aren't good, you know.
That's
you know,
very true.
like food is a good example. If I got 10 random items from anywhere and we all tried tastes of them, I'm pretty sure maybe not even one would be good. Like, you know, dirt, metal, carpet, you know, some dust, lint. You know, and then maybe like a single Cheez-It is one of those random of 10 items, you know? And then everyone's like, now that one was good. And we're like, yeah, but that was a rare find.
I just imagine somebody wants to start a YouTube channel and they come across this video and they're listening and they're like, okay, dust, lint, Cheez-It.
I know, but like, but seriously, but I mean, it's just that's it. It's just trusting that it's good. You know, like, but good is very subjective. Anyway, if you want to learn about good, I talk about the word good a lot in our functional filmmaking course because I'm actually legitimately curious and interested about this idea. But seriously,
what is good? How to make a good
obviously
edit?
There's an angle.
Yeah.
So you could like, you know what? No one's doing a show about crypto art every week. You know, it's like, wow, there we go. You want to make a YouTube channel right now? That's maybe a good idea because that's a brand new thing.
But you have to be into it.
But you have to be into crypto art.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's key. It's like, you got to be true to yourself. And it kind of comes down to making things quote unquote good. Like, there's also nothing more disappointing than like hearing like a musician, you're like, damn, this song is awesome. And you go and you look them up and they have 2 songs and that's one of them. And you're like, oh, well, I guess I'll wait 2 or 3 years until they release an album and see if they're actually any good. You know, it's like, you don't want to be that. Like, don't sit there trying to make your breakout piece and you don't have anything else on your channel or anywhere. It's like, you need to be making it because you love it and it needs to be coming out consistently.
Well, that's the thing that comes back to, all right, you're trying to make it in 2021. Consistency is key.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's YouTube loves that consistency. And frankly,
you got to get that critical mass and the consistency.
You never want people to stop thinking about you.
Never stop thinking about me.
Don't ever let me out of your mind.
Don't
I want
ever
to be
let
trapped
me out
in your
of
mind.
your mind.
I want like chains on my wrists and I'm like strapped in and like, I'm trying to use my buff muscles to set myself free.
Are you trying to pull the insides of the wall in?
Oh, it doesn't. Maybe I guess I'm not trying to escape. Usually when you're
Pull
chained
the
like that, you're trying
insides
to.
of the wall in.
And I'm not breaking these chains. I'm just chilling. But I'm chained in your mind. But that's what consistency does. You know, you release stuff frequently and people are like, hey, I'm coming back. I like this stuff. I'm coming back. It's like it's like serving an ice cream sundae, one scoop at a time. Like
Then they've been able to
That way you don't get
identify
sick.
that algorithmically on YouTube now. That's the other thing, is that they've actually, the data scientists and the actual product engineers have been able to identify and actually commoditize, like, digitally, like, consistency in as part of the fabric of their code, you know. And so that's, I mean, there's some really, I mean, obviously it's Google, but there's some super high level data that analysis and in using it as an instrument to pull out these things that weren't going on when we started, for sure. And so knowing that, like, starting today, you'd want to be doing something consistent that doesn't cost hardly anything, that can you can continue to do it for a long period of time without much effort, because you're probably not going to make a lot of money off of it for, well, maybe ever, But when that timing comes along, that call it luck, call it timing, call it circumstance, when that critical mass hits and that timing comes along, and then all of a sudden the thing you've been doing for 3 years all of a sudden becomes relevant to a much greater audience, then boom, then there's your success on the viewership side.
And that's that trust. That, like, you feel like you're doing something cool, you think it's going well, you think you're ahead of your time a little bit, it's like, well, you got to do it for a little bit until time catches up with you and everyone else's time meets with your time, which was ahead of theirs. And then maybe then the algorithm will give you 500,000 subscribers.
Yeah. Or you'll die before that, and then you'll go down as like an artist ahead of your time.
Well, I think the other thing too, like, along with being consistent and being good, which takes a lot of consistency to just get there. Like, even now, like, going into a video, like, I generally know if it's going to be a good video, but sometimes you're kind of still shooting in the dark. But
that's okay.
Yeah, you get that.
But that's the thing. It's like, there's the like, you talk about inspiration and stuff like that. There's like, yeah, inspiration is cool, but like just craft and like going, all right, well, like, we're making a video. It's going to be a video when we're done. Like, yeah, maybe it's not the most inspired thing in the world, but like being able to repeat that process and fill in the gaps when inspiration, is lost, I think is really important. Well, because that's the work.
Yeah, I mean, but so you have the first step, which is consistency. But then the second thing you need to do is you need to constantly be tweaking something. If you make a video, gets 100 views, cool. You make another video, gets 100 views, cool. You make another video, it gets 100 views, cool. All right, when you make your fourth video, what are you going to start changing?
Yeah.
Because it's not going to change unless you change. I can try a new character. I can try a new storyline. I can try a different color grade. What's the thing that you're going to do to start evolving? Because you don't evolve too fast. So you also don't just make something completely new and out of the blue. Actually, you know what? Screw it. You can if you want to. If you're only getting 100 views, do whatever the heck you want. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But don't do the same thing and expect things to change if you're not changing. And then also,
it's hard to get to that point too, when you're making it and you're putting all that energy into it, and it's like those are the 100 views that you're getting. So I'm like, can you guys hear my kid crying?
Yeah,
very faintly.
Okay.
But it's hard to see the forest from the trees when you're in that moment, because you're like, okay, should I keep doing this? But it's true. By the time you get 3-4 videos into it and it's exactly the same result, you gotta think, okay, something different.
Well, that's the problem with the concept of formats too. It's like formats are cool only when like they're doing something. It's
they
like
have to be successful in a way first.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
to be cool.
like do a format if you think it's important. That the format is the important part and the thing you enjoy. Go for it, but that's why it's important to mix things up too.
Yeah.
It's just like
don't start a format until the format's been proven. There is no format until you have success with a format. Then you have a format. Other than that was
one of the weirdest things about YouTube that isn't stigmatized with it today. That was a stigma when we started, which was no one knew what to do with it. It was okay. Is this television? Is it a game show? Is it a reality show? Is it a movie? Everyone was every time we had a meeting with people who wanted to dev something or take what we were doing and more, it was this constant just education guessing game of people trying to put the platform into a box that already existed.
Yeah.
And it wasn't any of those things. It was a little bit of every one of those things, but it wasn't any of those things. And I think when new platforms arise like that, like people don't necessarily know what to do with them. Like, yeah, now we can go and we can just call it social media TikTok, oh, what is it? It's social media. Instagram, what is it? It's social media. YouTube, what is it? Oh, it's social media. But each one of those things is completely unlike the other one. You know, in terms of what's popular on it, who uses it, why those people use it, why those people view it, how those videos get shared, like totally separate things. We're just, you know, more advanced, I think, at doing those platforms quicker now because there's you know, everyone's got a phone.
Yeah.
That not everyone had a movie theater or a television in every house or in every hand back in the day.
So let's return to the question once more, but let's get really focused now.
Okay.
Specifically corridor, right? Me, you, Jake, and Sam.
Yeah.
We just got out of college. We've been doing the same thing. We've been making cool videos for about 8 years now. We can do some VFX. We're basically all kind of like Peter at this point, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We want to make sick videos. How do we start?
Well, I'm going to say there's two paths forward. I would say the first and most obvious one, mostly from hindsight, is doing something along the lines of the VFX Artist React show. Because...
But we have no clout yet. We have zero clout.
To my surprise, a lot of people that I've seen either commenting or even meeting in real life have mentioned that they saw that show first. They're like, wow, that show's cool. And I figured out you guys also make other videos after that. Like that was the secondary element, which was, oh, I just like watching these movies being explained. Like I like seeing these cool VFX shots and then having someone, just, you know, pull the curtain back a little bit like that. It was just that. And so, you know, using the knowledge we had then, like we could still kind of do this show still. Like we have way more experience now, but even back then there's still a little element of like, hey, we can still go like, hey, this is 3D, it's this compositing trick, this is green screen stuff. Well, you know, not as well, but we would still be able to pull it off, I think.
Perhaps. I feel like we still need a couple of years of doing it under our belts to be able to talk about it to the extent that we're able to. But maybe. I mean, I feel like you still kind of need to return to the same thing, which I think holds true for everything that goes viral. Just you take something that people like and you give it a new twist that only you can do. What's your unique perspective on something that people already love? Whether it's a video game, you do a cool cinematic, you do a little spoof, a little comedy spoof, or you're going to do a little movie parody, or you're going to touch upon a genre that people like, or you're going to do a real life, like, hey, isn't it tough talking to girls? Well, let me give you some tips, you know, whatever. Like, but what's your twist, right? What are you going to do that's brand new that applies to the thing that's already been done? Or something that's popular. Sorry, not that's already been done. What's your twist to something that's popular? And that can be from an established IP to just a classic genre that people like horror movies. You know, a lot of movies are still successful because horror movies are a genre that's still very popular, and you just do a twist on it. You know, a horror movie with a twist. Boom, you got yourself a new successful franchise.
I know that. I was thinking about this. I really want to shoot Quiet Place with farts soon.
Oh my god!
Like the opening shot, it's just a guy whose face is super red and he's sweating. And then it turns out there's two people who've been holding their farts for a very long time. And this is the moment when one of them might let one out. And they can't fart or else the monster will kill them.
Okay, stop. Let's start editing this next week. That would do so well. That's so stupid.
I got the whole thing written. I got all the gags. I honestly was thinking this is a casual, like, one person with a camera, two actors, maybe one additional person to chill and hang out with us. And
wait, I thought we could film it. You could film an original, but I thought you were just talking about re-editing the movie.
No, because I live next to this place.
Where's the story going?
No, I'm not going to say where the place is, but I've got the perfect location.
Oh, okay.
It's completely empty. It's a huge area that's empty, and we can film it. It's really close to my place.
Okay.
Like, we just roll up there. film it. It'll be super quick and like hilarious.
Yeah, no dialogue, I suppose.
There's no dialogue. It's just people like getting angry at each other, like and going, "Don't fart." They're trying to mime it and mouth it to each other.
Oh my god, you have to get Wes in this, dude. He would be so funny in this. Wes and Clint, and just let him go to town.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
man.
no, it's just two really furiously angry people who have to fart. Anyways, okay, there we go.
All right.
All right. So
anyways,
you've established your art, right? You've established a thing that you're going to do that's yours and it's your own, but it also touches upon something that's popular, but it brings your unique perspective to it. Okay, so you got your unique voice. You're doing The Quiet Place with farts, right? All right.
Yeah.
It's the second thing you got to do to launch your channel, at least that I would do if we were launching Quarter in 2021. So I'd figure out, how do we get the word out there? If the algorithm's not going to do it for us, how do we do it? Do you first start off by just grinding out some good work as long as you can? You meet some people, you stay in the industry for a year or two, and then you maybe do a collab with somebody who has a bigger audience. Maybe that's the way you get the word out. Maybe you focus on doing like a really viral like series of videos where like you focus a specific like fandom or demographic for a while. Until you like start getting shared around those circles. You know, maybe you're hitting up the blogs.
I would take a similar approach to what we're doing with the Corridor Crew like specials now. But if we were just starting out, apply that to people that are already successful on the platform.
And try to get their attention.
Yeah, like, you know, you take you do a Corridor version of like a David Dobrik video or whatever. You know, and you make our version of that, like interpret their work through our lens, and then get the attention of the people that are watching that to go, ha, hey, that was funny. But then the next time you make one, they recognize a pattern and they go, hey, this is just like that other video that I saw.
Yeah.
Oh, is this the whole thing?
And
then.
Yeah, or they hit you up and they're in one. But yeah, basically that's your way around the algorithm, is to reach out to people that have an audience and have them just directly connect their audience with you, which is actually not that hard to do. People are really chill, and like it's not that big of a deal to tell your audience, turn on your audience to somebody else who's doing cool stuff. I mean, that's one of the beauties of the VFX React show, is like we're constantly getting to showcase some cool animations and cool things that are being done. Yeah, you know, like that's a really viable approach to getting a start. But you have to have the body of work.
The next thing that I would do while we were working on that body of work is I would take like a true vlog, do a true vlog almost. Maybe not in the sense of like what traditional YouTube vlogs were, but every day be like shooting and then following storylines. And then releasing those storylines, you know, once or twice a week in a more like in-depth, here's what we're working on sort of perspective, but then also take clips and snippets of that and put it out across multiple platforms too. Not just
even when starting out. My only worry with that is that why would anybody care about your day-to-day life? Like, what makes it special? Why would it be worth documenting?
You would take the viral stuff and put that out, and then once people click on that, then hopefully get them to connect with you on the stuff that is more daily as it leads up to each one of these releases.
I think the thing that gets lost when people think about vlogs and daily stuff is like, you still need to tell good stories. Just documenting your daily life isn't going to interest anybody.
Yeah,
unless your daily life is like,
100%.
I tame tigers. Like, okay, then I'm interested. I'll watch your daily life.
I still hold the opinion that vlogging in public is impolite.
I would agree.
I think if you are vlogging or you're hanging out with people and like you're in public filming yourself doing stuff and talking to a camera, or you're hanging out with friends and you start filming yourself for a vlog segment, I think that's like socially inappropriate.
Yeah, maybe I'm being misunderstood here. When I say vlog, I don't mean like this. I mean take a snippet of what's being done and share it.
Delve deeper
and share it. Yeah, that's what I don't mean like let's
okay,
do
I see what you're saying.
Let's do an original like Oh my God, it's so long ago. I can't even remember the dude's name. The first vlog on YouTube, like the first true vlogger on YouTube. It's this big dude.
Shay Carl.
Shay Carl. Yeah. Yeah. I don't mean that. I don't mean like do a Shay Carl. Yeah.
Do you not have any more recent references you can use for that?
No, I'm drawing back on when we started. I'm trying to draw correlations to.
That's okay. I don't.
Yeah, my only reference
there
is
are like
Shay
the
Carl.
so-and-so brothers or the so-and-so twins. It's basically 90% of them.
But they all took that format. But anyways, no. What I mean is like you take an insight. People see the iterative work with the new twist on it, right? And it has that 80-20 rule. It's 80% familiar, 20% new. They see it. They're drawn to the rest of the work. As soon as they discover you, there's a body of work that is similar to that. So they're like, oh, okay, cool. Great. This is all great. What do I do next? And then you're like, hey, now here's how we led up to this process. Here's where we got the idea to do this one. Here's where we got the idea to do that one. And then from there, you can leverage into, like a series that's just based on like it reacting to something else that's out there, or another more iterative, like repeatable format that you could do.
Yeah.
And also I think the being consistent, at least across 2 platforms today, even if it's the same work, even if it's that same end product, having that consistent across 2 platforms, I think today is really important because people don't cross platforms like they used to.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, like one thing though, in talking about all this stuff, we talk a lot about it. We talk about these deep dives and our thoughts on filmmaking, the stuff that we use to guide our work. And, like I was thinking about this morning a little too, which is, there's no such thing as film rules. There's just film tools, basically, in the sense that like the reason there's no such thing as a film rule, it's because like you're saying that like this is how it has to be done, but the thing is that doesn't discount what's being said. The reason they're film tools is because there's multiple paths here that you can take to use this stuff. There's multiple ways you can utilize these things that we use or you hear from other people. They don't even have to be implied in the same way. It's like they're good to know and be aware of and to experiment and try them out on your own. But, you don't want to box yourself in too hard and like close your mind to the point where you're like, oh, like this is how things work, because that's, it's a very subjective place here. So.
Yeah. No, and you've always been good at calling out that stuff, Sam, when you feel like we're getting too...
Calling it out.
Yeah, no, like I just mean when we're getting too close to like just, doing something that's already been done, I guess, or doing something because, hey, that's how other people do it. And that sense of creative trust in yourself is really important. It takes time to develop.
I mean, there's things in life where you want to follow those rules, like building a house. A lot of good rules.
A lot of good rules. A lot of mistakes before you. Yeah.
There's things, but yeah.
Right.
But houses don't evolve and change as fast as media platforms, that's for sure. So
yeah, not in today's day and age, that's for sure. So that's it.
And that's
Sam,
it.
Sam would make, if we could do it differently, guys, in summary, Sam would make A Quiet Place with farts. Niko would make Niko, actually did you go, Niko? Did you give one?
I mean,
did you remember anything he said?
I don't know how to conclude it, I guess.
In conclusion, I'd do it the same way we did it.
Yeah, no, that's what you're saying, which is like find things that you can give your spin on. And ideally those things are popular things, because once again, we are talking about YouTube, and technically YouTube is a social media platform, meaning you're not just releasing media into a void, you're releasing it into a space of communication that goes directly between you and the audience, and that's why it's social. So, you know, it seems kind of like trite sometimes to say, hey, let's make an Avengers parody or take a scene, A Quiet Place with farts. But, you know, at the same time, what you're doing is you're tapping into that social half of social media to find success. And I think that's totally valid. I mean, you don't need to define everything based on that, but it's good to play with and experiment with, because you can quickly reach people who might want to watch your style. They like your style, and the way you show them that style is by starting with something you have in common.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
even that
sums it
once
up
again,
very
I'm-
well, I think.
Even that guy, that Joel Haver guy, you know, I'm looking at his videos. He has videos that are about like video game jokes. There's like this, you know, there's RPG stuff. There's thing, you know, like, yeah, there's a lot of originality, but you know, once again, he's doing that too. And I think you could pick that apart and kind of find a lot of the stuff we're talking about in that content is how everything kind of worked out.
I mean,
don't know.
if your art's not going to comment on the human experience, then what are you commenting on?
Yeah, I mean that's one of the reasons why I think Danny Gonzalez has been able to have such success, is because it's his, you know, dry Danny humor with a. Oh, is that a kid screaming in the background?
Hell yeah, brother.
What happened?
Oh,
Bonks all over the place, man.
I bonked
That's
my
a
head.
bonk. Do you guys hear that? That's a bonk.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I know. So yeah, podcasts are dope. 2021, sick year. It's like 2020, but just a little more.
Sounds like it's under control now. Okay. Yeah, but anyways, like, yeah, Sam, I think that sums it up well. You know,
Thanks.
like, no, what you
I
said
know
before.
the other parts. The other stuff.
Like utilizing a common experience to get people to be interested in viewing what you have to offer.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah. Basically, then also what Niko said, which is the same thing we did. We would just have to update. It would all slightly change and update, but it's kind of the same tactic.
Yeah, and we still have to
Yeah.
grind it out for 10 years before we have a hit show, you know? It's like
Still
the
gotta
same
grind
thing
it out.
happens.
Still gotta grind.
Same situation.
The old video grind.
No video grind.
Yeah.
It's been a good grind, though.
It is a
Definitely
good
won't do
grind,
Twitch.
boys. I'm
Still not
happy to be on that grind.
Definitely not gonna fuck with Twitch. That is
touching Twitch.
That's a time sink.
Oh, boy.
All right. Well, I think that's it. I'm gonna play us out. Do you guys have anything else to offer to the true
Bing dong, bing bong.
Yeah,
Have a good
if I
day.
was going to do Quarter Digital in 2021, I'd start a TikTok channel where I just look in the mirror and try to do pretty poses for all the girls.
Pretty poses for all the girls.
There you have it. That's the secret to success.
Niko went out and he started a TikTok profile.
Now what else
He
did
took pretty pictures for all the girls.
And then
He got really popular with them golden locks. Go with them golden locks. And then he quit YouTube and just went full-time TikTok.
Yeah,
All right.
Full-time TikTok, Niko's making a killing.
he is.
He's got them gold. Hey, you can fade out at any point, Christian. Go ahead.
Yeah, now I gotta sing a
Christian,
verse.
spit it out.
Full-time TikTok, making a killing.
Deep fake a hot boy's face onto my face.
Oh, my God.
Lord. All right. If you're still listening, God help you.
Thanks for listening. All right, subscribe. Bye.